Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. This is ExtraTyne, the week at Newcastle United at a glance. However, as you've seen in the last few episodes, we more than glance at a few things, and it might be things that you've definitely not glanced at this week already. My name's Emil. Jess is with us. How's your week been, Jess?
I'm in isolation, so not great. My boyfriend's got the Rona, so I'm stuck in the house. So not ideal.
How inconsiderate of him.
I know.
Him and everyone else going around coughing on people. We wish you both a speedy recovery. But of course, it does not affect the fact that you're able to celebrate being a Newcastle United fan in this week of weeks. I'm also joined by Kristan, who's done a few of the extra time with us in Project Restart. Those were enjoyable, weren't they, Kristan? Those thumping defeats that we suffered.
Yeah, it was great to analyse that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, have I got a treat for you? We will sink our teeth into Mr. Bruce shortly. Also got my mate Dean. Dean, what's your fame?
My fame? Oh, well, I've got no fame, me. I mean, am I really famous? No, I'm not famous at all.
You're just known in the northeast area.
I'm just known in the northeast area.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
Yeah, in the Anfield Plain area. Okay, well, not a bad 7 days for Newcastle United. Well, that of course is the last three have probably been the worst ones. We had 2 wins this time last week. Concerning things being shown in the Blackburn game, but the big story was Sunday afternoon. Everyone's sitting down for a match, and a lot of people saying "fuck that" in the first 5 minutes. One of which was Alan Saint-Maximin, apparently. Newcastle started an unchanged 11. Steve Bruce's failure to plan. Kristan, take the stage. What did you make of that?
It formed for me what is a consistent pattern that they don't seem to have a plan. I might have talked about this before, but when I try and identify how Newcastle intend to get the ball from back to front, I don't see a consistent pattern. Now, to be fair, I know there are people probably that are watching this thinking, that's fine, we've won games, we stayed up, we did well last season. There is a concern, though, that form or that luck will turn against us at some point because, again, to dive right into the nerd pile for a second, the analytics for last season were really concerning in terms of goals, expected goals scored, expected goals conceded. We should really have been on the bottom of the pile. And by some miracle, it hasn't happened. Now, granted, I get it, stats aren't everything, blah, blah, blah. But that performance for me on Sunday highlighted one of the major issues, which is they went into the game with the same starting 11 as the week before and no adaptations for the opponent they were about to face. And within 5-10 minutes, the whole thing had fallen apart, 2-0 down, and it didn't really look like they were going to get back in it. So I'm just a little bit concerned about Bruce's willingness to try and adapt to opponents because I feel like this season, now he's had one full one behind him, teams aren't going to have this unknown quantity when they come against Newcastle. They know what to expect a lot more.
Yeah, I couldn't have put a bit on myself. That was perfect, thank you. But it was a nightmare start. But you mentioned the unchanged 11 there. Jess, I mean, I know we're his biggest fan, but did you have any concerns at the fact that Andy Carroll was starting ahead of Almiron that everyone seemed to be picking up on?
Yeah, I think Almiron's he's proved himself now. I think I think he should be in the start. Obviously, I don't want to say every game, but he should be near enough the starting 11 every game now. He's I mean, we'll touch on it later, but the game last night as well, I think that just proves it even further. But Andy Carroll he doesn't look. I love him and I want him to do well, and I'm always willing him, but he doesn't look like he's never gonna score. I think we just need to start Almiron, and I don't know what it is that Bruce seems to have against him, or I can't understand the logic why he's not starting, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I don't really understand, but I just felt like Bruce hadn't really done his homework on Sunday, especially that I'll forget his name now.
Lamptey.
Was it Lamptey? Yeah. Lamptey. I feel like he was just left. It was free reign. It was just like, you do what you want, basically. Mm-hmm. So I think it was very naive to go in with the same starting 11 and we were caught out, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, Lamptey really was just amazing. It was just as well he came off in the second half. God knows what he could have done if he'd been on for a full 2 halves. But Alan Saint-Maximin didn't have a great start to the game, Dean. I know, well, like every Newcastle fan, you want to see him providing the goods, but I think this is one of the first times where we've seen him have a terrible start, gave away the penalty. Lamptey was just running at him and he just couldn't handle it, and then went off with an early injury. I mean, what do you suggest for when a player has such a bad start like that?
Well, the thing is, what we're saying is, we saw against Spurs last year when Joe Linton got his first goal. Was he in? Like, yes, he was struggling with injury, but like he wasn't up for the game. You could see him get outran on the pitch. He just wasn't up for the game. And I think we're saying, I don't think he was injured. I just think he couldn't handle that kid from Brighton. Because as soon as he got the better of Saint was not interested at all.
Yeah.
Then the game just went downhill from there. And I think both Jess and Kristan are right. Bruce and Doc do his homework. In my opinion, you start Miggy because Miggy can match his pace, and Miggy did. In the second half, that's why they brought him off, to be honest with you, Brighton, because Miggy was matching his pace all the time, and he was constantly getting the ball back from him. And again, it is worrying because I don't get us wrong, I don't mind Steve Bruce. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but it does concern us when he doesn't go in with a plan.
Yeah. I mean, Dean, we might get you to do one of your famous team talks that you do on voice notes to me later on, but we'll see. Dean does a cracking Steve Bruce impression, so we'll see if it coax it out of him by the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, we were outclassed, but Kristan, I know we'll spend a bit of time on this game because I think it's still important and fresh in the memory despite the thumping of Morecambe. A lot of people were saying that Brighton came and played the exact same game that they played against us twice last year, except this time they scored and really damaged us. Graham Potter is just a different kind of manager. And we saw what Dean said there about seeing the problem that Lamptey was having and then nullifying Almiron once again by bringing on, was it Bryce, the fellow, the Geordie lad who came on? Ben Bird, who came on. I mean, what do you make of Brighton's setup?
I mean, it didn't change drastically from what I saw against Chelsea or what I saw towards the back end of the season, really. It was wing-backs and using them to stretch the pitch and stretch the opponent. The thing for me when I came away from that game is it's a real obvious lesson that there's a difference between a formation and a system. A formation is how you guys line up when you're in possession or when the game kicks off. But realistically, you need an idea for what you're going to do in possession and out of possession. And I just didn't really see that from Newcastle. I saw massive space between midfield and defence. And I think Michael Cox put up a screenshot at some point where you can see the three Brighton attackers in absolute acres of space. And all you've got to do is play it through Shelvey, who I'm not going to isolate every single player that I didn't think played well. I'm a little bit concerned about him in a 4-4-2 system as well, because I don't think he's quite got the legs to get around the pitch and offer something defensively. And if you're just reducing him to a long-range passer, that's great. But even then,
his set players were atrocious as well from Shelvey. Every single ball was just wasted. And I mean, to go back to the point about Saint, Shelvey's another one of those where if he's not fancying it and the chips are down, you need the players that are going to run through a wall, and it just isn't happening for him.
Yeah, that's part of it as well, is that I think when you rely on individuals like that and lean towards a more talismanic approach, if they do have an off game, you are in trouble. You really are. And I think the thing with St. Maximin for me, he just didn't look confident in his body. Like I don't disagree with Dean. I think there was a little element of him not really fancying chasing back and getting to his own defensive third, because that's not what we've enjoyed for the last 12 months or however long we've had him. But I think by the same token, the kind of injuries he's had, these small strains on his hamstrings and such, you can't rush someone back like that. And I feel like there's such an emphasis to get him straight back into the team that it's just going to be a vicious cycle where we'll throw him back in, he'll strain him, come off.
Do you think there'll still be that, the fact that we've got Fraser now, though? Do you think there's not a little bit of a reduced pressure to have him in every week?
There is, but the trouble is that this team is based on the idea of having Almiron, Fraser, and St. Maximin behind Wilson, and those three being essentially floating playmakers, I imagine, is what's being told to them, is just go into the final third and do what you need to do. But if you then try and put another player in there, maybe he thinks Jacob Murphy is that player. I don't know. I thought he was quite decent against Morecambe, but the caveat there is it's Morecambe, with the greatest of respect to a team in League Two that just got beat 5-0 at the weekend. So
burn.
But I think
my aim this season is to have a picture of Steve Bruce in that frame behind you by May, April, whenever we get to that point.
I'll just add it. I'll stick him on top. It's fine. But yeah, I think obviously Steve Bruce has to have some leeway in terms of finding what he thinks is his best 11. But the issue I have with these people that say it's only 2 games, it's not. Like, it's upwards of a year now that he's had, with a 3-month break in between where he could have sat down and thought, okay, how do I want this team to play? And this is a manager that was saying in 2011, I don't really do tactics, when he was asked about a Christmas tree formation. Like, I don't think this is something that's just going to magically fix itself in time. He's potentially going to need to bring in a coach or ask his coaching staff to do more of that work, because I don't think he is predisposed to do it personally.
Well, there we go. That's what you're here for, Kristan. We needed that full dissection of that horrific game. Jess, I was just going to say that we spoke about it in our little group chat about how you thought it might have been a little bit of bruised ego, the injury that Saint-Maximin was suffering as well. And Kristan said about tracking back and stuff, and Dean said about it too, and it's not going his way.
Yeah, it seemed a bit like spitting the dummy out. Like, I feel like he's kind of so used to running rings around people and like doing his little step overs, and he's always getting away with it. And like, I feel, again, to use the phrase caught out, I feel like he was caught out on Sunday and he didn't like it. And obviously he gave away the penalty, which was just ridiculous. It's just like a really, really stupid mistake. And I feel like that was just like, right, well, that's me done. And from then on, he didn't look interested at all. And I think him coming off was absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, we hope it doesn't happen again. That's the main thing. I know that some will say overreaction. Some will say, like you say, Kristan, that this hasn't been just going on for the 2 games. This has been a long time coming. And who knows, if that goal if that shot header from Wilson had gone in, it could have been a different story. But sometimes in football, it just doesn't go your way. And we can't break the spell against Brighton in the Premier League. It's so annoying. They're like, do you remember when we couldn't beat Southampton ever? Like, they used to just be our bogey team. Like, I used to think that Shearer went back to Southampton and just couldn't score. Newcastle were afraid to beat them. It was horrible, horrible games against them. The only kind of victory that Newcastle got was the red card. I think that was like the cause for celebration on Twitter. Jamal Lewis, the beautiful boy, getting kicked in the face.
I forgot that even happened.
I know.
I honestly forgot that even happened.
I don't think Jamal did.
No, I don't think he did. But lucky him getting to miss the rest of the match with no vision. I think a lot of Newcastle fans envied him at that point. He is okay. Sadly, we didn't get to see him play with the bandage on his head because he might have scored one of Shearer's free kicks. But yeah, it's a shame about that game. And good news about Jamal Lewis. He has been talking this week, saying that he wasn't interested in Newcastle. As soon as Newcastle came in, he was happy to come and join the Mags. So good for him. Already winning fans. So speedy recovery. I don't actually know what's wrong with him, but I think he's just lost all vision. So it was a disappointing weekend. It was the highest scoring Premier League week ever. Newcastle contributing to that by helping Brighton get 3 and doing their bit for the fantasy football managers who have any Brighton players. There's been talk this week. Still no new signings, which is ridiculous. Sorted out, Lee Charnley. Rodrigo Vilca, the Peruvian, is potentially got a future. 120,000 transfer fee. His brother hopes it might happen. Dean, would you be happy to see another young and come in like Perez? And, a brother who cuts his own hair? I think we're getting like a Mark II or something.
To be honest with you, I have not seen much of the kid, but I think anyone who's creative and who's young and got a bright future could be an asset to us. I mean, Perez, when he first signed for us, I remember a lot of people were against it, saying, oh, same with Tenerife. Who's Tenerife? You know what I mean? But the thing with Perez is right. In his latter years for us, he was his best. I mean, he's our top scorer twice in the Premier League, 2 years in a row. It's a shame we sold him to Leicester, but hopefully it's a good signing. But I don't think we need that. I think we need a proven player who's a creative midfield player who can run a midfield and not get outrun like our midfielders do. I mean, I love Hayden to bits. I think he can help us massively. But Shelvey, like we've said before, when Shelvey's not in his game, he's got no legs, he's got no pace, he gets outrun all the time. He does a couple of Hollywood balls, but half the time half of them are floaters. When he's a free kick, it's like a floater, he floats in the box. There's no drive out, there's no force. So I feel like we need someone in there who's going to be like a creative midfielder, because I can't see it at the minute who's going to step up that role now midfield and run the midfield.
Yeah. Do you know much about this fella, Kristan? Have you seen anything about him? Is it Deportivo Municipal or something like that? He's
Oh, said like you were born in Lima. I love it. Yeah, I've watched some very brief clips on Y Scout, so I'm not going to profess to be an expert in the lad. It looks like he's got a decent eye for a pass, and from speaking to a colleague of mine down in Peru, he said that the main issue for him at the minute is his physicality. He's just very thin, very kind of slight, so a bit of steak and eggs, that kind of thing, or whatever the modern equivalent is. It's not surprising they'll probably loan him out, I think, if it comes through. That's everything that I've read so far. But yeah, it sounds to me like a bit of a punt, really, for a few 100,000. That's kind of what Perez was, I think. But yeah, it worked out.
As long
well
as he's not thrust into his debut by getting put on against Man City and nearly scoring. I was at that game and Perez came on and everyone was like, "Oh Christ, have we really turned to this young?" And he nearly scored. And we gave the game to Man City that week. But let's see what happens. If it means that Inca Kola starts getting stocked in the club shop, I am all for it. But from what I've heard, that yellow stuff is actually illegal in the UK. But if you ever get to go to Peru or that neck of the woods, Inca Kola is the best drink you'll ever taste. It's basically iron brew, but it looks like piss. So the
is
other
that what it says on the label?
but in Peruvian. Donde está a bottle of piss? Julio Geordie there for you. We did miss out on the glorious return of 35-year-old Obafemi Martins, who has actually gone to tackle coronavirus head on by joining Wuhan Zhao. I don't know if anyone spotted the team he's actually got to join. He's actually gone to Wuhan. Coronavirus, we need a vaccine. People said, fuck that. No, we'll have Obafemi Martins instead doing backflips to entertain the troops. Yeah, I mean, that can't be his real age, can it, Jess?
I'd seen that he'd gone somewhere. I didn't see that it was Wuhan. Like, very brave of him. But
Wuhan Zhao.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But
if that's wrong, by the way, I'm sorry.
35. He's not. He's absolutely not. Is he?
Either way, he still looks younger than Charlie Adam.
Yeah. Oh my God! Did you? I seen the picture today where they put Charlie Adam next to Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's absolutely horrifying. It's horrific.
Scotland and Madeira for you there.
What is he, like 34 or something?
I don't think he's 35. That's for sure.
It's honestly shocking. Absolutely shocking. Bless him.
Yeah, bless Charlie Adam.
Bless him.
An illustrious career that he's building for himself there. Yeah, if Obafemi Martin's 35, that must make Atsu about 50, I think. Next, we're going to move swiftly on because nothing really happened apart from doom and gloom after the Brighton game. We moved straight to the Cup game on Wednesday night, depending on when you watch this. Newcastle beat Morecambe 7-0. We don't get to say that very often, but they certainly brought the sunshine. I like these cup games being quite quick. Dean, are you enjoying having like a cup game once a week and league game? It's like Sunday league, isn't it?
Well, it's nice because if you get beat at the weekend, you have to celebrate during the week. You know what I mean? So it's a win-win, really, isn't it?
Don't speak too soon about Newport. It was good, wasn't it? And Kristan, you spotted about Jacob Murphy there, saying that he was playing pretty well. I think the one thing, despite it being Morecambe, with all that respect, he seems to have won his place, and there's no loan spell for him. And the aforementioned Atsu looks to be on his way. So Murphy ultimately taking that space in the squad. Do you think that he's still got life at Newcastle?
Yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but when he first came, I felt like he was such a confidence player, and because he didn't really hit the ground running, it just sapped all of his momentum. Like, he'd come from a good Norwich side where he'd done well with his brother, and he just seemed to really freeze up when he got in the Premier League. Now, he's had a decent season at Sheffield Wednesday last year, where I think he hit similar numbers to what he got in his last year at Norwich. So it feels like there's just a little bit more momentum behind him this time, and he does seem a little bit stockier from some of the photographs I've seen. So I'm up for giving him a try. I don't see why not. He seems to be quite direct. I don't think he's one for tricks, really. It's a bit of kick and rush, which is a bit more old school. But yeah, I think you can't turn away a player like that because he could have a future. And the investment in him, which was what, I think 12 million at the time. Why would you loan him out in the last year of his deal? Play him, and if it works, it works, and then you can negotiate a new deal for him.
Yeah, bit of a shop window for Jacob Murphy if it doesn't work as well. So he looked good last night. He ran through the ball at times. He got himself an actual goal. I think everyone was rooting for that, apart from those who have been throwing darts at him for the last 2 years. And yeah, I'm happy to see him there. He's a Newcastle fan. Let's not forget him and his brother. That was part of the announcement. And yeah, I mean, is there any other players? I don't think there's ever been a player who's signed for us, gone away on loan, and then maybe forced their way back into the team. I know we're hoping to see that with Lejeune. I don't know. Can anyone think of anyone who's kind of left and come back?
Did Gouffran go on loan? They bring him back to the Championship.
No, I think he stayed for the Championship, didn't he?
I mean, before the Championship, did he get loaned out? With the first season McLaren, then did he get brought back?
I mean, my only example would be Shola Amiobi. Keegan farmed him out, didn't he? And then he went to Stoke, and I think he played for Palace after Pardew when he finally left. But that interim bit, he went to Stoke for half a season, came back, and he was firing all cylinders when we had that Pardew season. Amiobi had his kind of swan song, didn't he? But Joe Linton scored twice, which is good news. We have just noticed this afternoon that. Which is a real shame. And we commented about this last week, about the comments that we received, even though we jokingly titled the video, "How do you solve a problem like Joe Linton?" We did sadly get a few comments back alluding to shooting him, which isn't good. But Joe Linton has now disabled actual comments on an Instagram of him scoring 2 goals last night, one of which was an absolute beauty. The other was a bit of a tap-in. There was a third thing that I think a lot of fans seem to be focusing on, Jess, despite the guy scoring 2 goals. I mean, what is going wrong here?
I think once not to generalise, but I think our fans, once they get something in their head and they get a target, no matter what they do, they'll focus on the negative. So, like you say, he scored 2 goals. One was an absolute screamer, and then there was was it just after his first one?
Just after his first one, Murphy put the ball in, bounced Murphy, off the line.
Yeah, and he basically he stood back and watched, and like in the group chat we were saying, it's as if he was too nice, like he didn't want to claim the goal as his own. So that was my thought of it, which you can't really do. Like you need like I'd rather he had like a striker's instinct and just went for it rather than just stood back and thought. But at the same time, he still scored 2. So why focus on that? Why focus on him making like one error when he's literally scored 2 goals, and like I said, one of them was an absolute screamer. And the fact that he's had a disable comment on his Instagram when he's like had one of his better games for us, I think that's disgusting. It's not on. It's not on.
I think it's mad because I know that a lot of fans will probably say, you know, he's a footballer. You know, he's got all that money. He's not bothered what he reads on Instagram. There's your proof. There's your proof. He's actually a guy who's in charge of his own Instagram. Maybe it's a family member. But if they've seen that he's actually getting that much abuse and stick, that he's had to turn off replies to 2 goals for the club that he plays for. I mean, I would imagine Sunderland players get less stick from Newcastle fans than Joe Linton gets. It's ridiculous. That's because we can't see their games anymore, of course.
When I was talking to someone about when we put on Twitter last week saying some of the comments had been like unacceptable, and I was having a conversation with someone about it, and their thoughts were, do you really think he checks his Instagram? Do you really think he checks Twitter? Yes, of course he does. If that's the mentality that people have got, like of course everyone checks their social media.
My question would be like, do you check your Instagram?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just because he's a professional footballer doesn't mean he doesn't check it. He's still like we said last week, he's a human being. If you don't like his football, fair enough, but that is still a person. So just give it a rest. Like
I had a few choice words with people who seem to accuse us of goading fans on by titling it "How do you solve a problem like Joe Linton?" And I pointed out, in true footballing fan style, that it's actually a line from Sound of Music. You know, how do you solve a problem like Maria? It's a song, and I changed the name to Joe Linton. So please get your musicals right, guys. And that went down like a lead balloon. So, I'm sad about it too. And you know, the fact is, people actually still try to dive to the defence of those who said, "Oh, chuck them off the Tyne Bridge." It's like, well, no, actually, you know, like. It's like I'm not racist, but you know the floodgates said open. It's like no, stop.
There's an odd
Anyway.
disconnect, I think, between football fans and footballers these days that has really grown from when I was a kid, and you try and get Philippe Albert's signature or something, and I can't help but think the stuff with fans being out of the ground, it's only intensified that. So where you would shout on a Saturday afternoon, I think now people are like, you know what, I'm going to shout at him on Instagram, I'm going to shout at him on Twitter, and it's just, I might sound a little bit happy clapping with this, but I just think, when have you ever really got results from screaming at a player like that? Like, surely, if anything, you would want to build some kind of situation where they feel like they've got your support instead of they're waiting for you to mess up. Like, even the thing on the line, I'm like, it's against Morecambe in the cup. If that's a Premier League game and it's 0-0 or 1-1, I'm a lot more frustrated because I feel like there's something on the line there. But in that game where it was fairly obvious, I think from minute one, that we were going to advance, I'm not terribly upset by that. I think it's an odd one that I think people have made a decision on him one way or the other. Either they want to support him or they want him out, and that's it, and they're going to follow the course. And I don't think it benefits anybody, to be honest.
No, not at all. And if you don't like Joelinton, just fine, but don't abuse and make things. Sorry, Dean, what were you going to say?
I just think the biggest issue is giving them a 9 shirt. I think that's the biggest problem with Joelinton. I think people got to bear in mind, right? He's a young lad. He came to us when he was 22 years old, was he?
20. He's 20. Yeah, 23. I think he's 24 now.
So 24 now, so he came quite young. He didn't speak a word of English either. He came here alone as well. He had no family here. And then you're throwing all this pressure on him. He's playing in the best league in the world, right? The most physical, competitive league in the world, right? Best league in the world. He's not a proven goal scorer. He's not number 9 per se. But the lad, I mean, it might be funny. He has incredible balls. He does. Let's be honest, because he played every game for us last season. Because Gale was out, Mutu wasn't good enough, and Carroll was injured all the time. So Joelinton played every game, getting abuse every game. That takes a lot of character. But I don't know why. People who say go kill yourself and that, it's disgusting. He's a human being. He's a kid. He's not said he's worth 40 million. He's not put the 9 shirt in his back. This is what the club's done. And you respect the lad. I mean, at the end of the day, I agree with Kristan. If you're going to go a player, or you're shit you, he's not going to do well, is he? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you shit.
No, not at all.
It's ridiculous.
We should start treating anyone who wears a black and white shirt as the superheroes in a way. I know we'll get onto that shortly, but it should be, because I know that there'll be kids who haven't got a clue what Joelinton plays like. They'll just see him in a black and white shirt and they'll be like, oh, Joelinton. They might pull out a poster of Joelinton and absolutely love him because he's wearing a black and white shirt if it comes out like a Match of the Day magazine or something new, and put it on your wall because it's a Newcastle player. I would celebrate like bloody Clarence Acuna because he scored a goal in like the FA Cup and stuff. Yes, Kristan, I love our South American just players.
A deep cut if I've ever heard one. Clarence Acuna.
You know what? He got the name of my fantasy Premier League team this year, and that is Acuna Matata. Thank you very much, everybody. Here for another 20 minutes. That's all. No, there is another thing. That Joelinton does not speak our language fully. However, he did manage to say very competently who he'd pick for his fantasy Premier League team. However, Miguel Almiron struggled slightly when saying that he would pick Joelinton because he's very strong. And he cracked up laughing. I mean, you know what I thought? I don't think he was laughing at the fact he picked Joelinton. I think, do you remember when you used to get your pictures taken in school? I think that whoever was behind the camera held up like a puppet, held like a little puppet, and Miggy was like,
it looked like a right laugh, didn't it? It looked like they had a great time.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall on that media day.
It was the video was brilliant.
It's really, really good fun, and there's a good little camaraderie between the lads. So that's all we can ask for. Speaking of Almiron, Dean, I was going to come to you anyway on this. You mentioned about him. We've almost said about him playing pretty well, but surely now Almiron has to start in the league against Tottenham.
To be honest with you, I would have started him against West Ham. I know we won against West Ham, but I would have started him first game of the season. Miggy should not be out the team. I mean, every time Miggy plays, and I think this is what gets him out of jail a lot of us as fans when he didn't score goals. Well, he didn't have to score goals, but like his pace and his work rate on the pitch is unbelievable. Like I say about the Brighton game with Lapidie, as soon as he came on, Lapidie didn't know what to do. He couldn't get past him. He couldn't make crosses. He couldn't get forward. And this is what Miggy gives you. Miggy tracks back. He goes forward. I mean, can you remember Wolves last year when we drew 1-1? And Traore was running like we all know Traore is like a bullet.
He's greased up as well.
Exactly. But Miggy got the ball off him, tracked all the way back and got the ball and went back on the pitch, attacked. That's what he can do for you. He does more. I think Miggy offers more than Saint does, in the respect that Miggy will defend and attack.
I think he gets us a lot of set plays as well. He can run the ball
Yeah,
up
he
the pitch, and
does.
then it'll get tackled, and then we'll get something like a little cheap free kick here or there. I certainly think so. I think he played very well against Morecambe. He got a goal. Me and Bestie talked about it in the interaction last night, how he nearly walked off the pitch with it and to try and get it onto his left foot, and then just played around with the Morecambe players and just fired it in the top of the net. Matthew Raisbeck on the commentary had a bit of doubt in his voice, thinking that he's fired it into the side netting or something. So, Miggy's going to Miggy. Next up in the cup, it will be Newport County. Historically, Newcastle once beat them 13-0. We just beat someone 17-0. So next game, 14-0. You heard it here first. However, Newport did see off Watford 4-1 in the cup in that last round. So let's see what happens. I did point out as well last night, I'm looking forward to the hashtag next week, whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday. It's going to be Newcastle Newport. So no, okay. I hope so. Anyway, you never know. I don't know. Would Newport NPC?
I don't know what else it could be.
It just sounds like Newcastle playing a car park, then, doesn't it? Right, coming up, the game that is next, a ground that we love to play at. Jess, we know all about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
What a day we have.
Afternoon. It's on a Sunday afternoon. Newcastle returning to Tottenham away. Last time we played them at their place, it was the bank holiday stunner. Joe Linton scored. We thought it was going to be his. If you scroll back 5 minutes, you'll see that it wasn't. I mean, Tottenham. We were looking at Tottenham's schedule, and I think that it looked pretty tasty for Newcastle because they were playing like once every 3 days. They had the Europa League, but then their game against Fleetwood. Sorry, it was who they playing midweek. It was the COVID one, wasn't it? It got called off.
I don't know.
Oh, who were they going to play? There was some lower league opposition anyway that Tottenham
What is this?
Leyton Orient.
Leyton Orient. That was it. Sorry, yes.
Yes,
Orient.
it was. Yeah.
They called off their game with Tottenham in the EFL Cup this week. So Tottenham have had a little bit of rest, but thankfully Gareth Bale won't feature. What do you reckon? What do you reckon is going to happen in this game, Jess? Because they just thrashed Southampton away.
Yeah, that's what. I said this last week about us though. Like going into a game off the back of a win, obviously you expect them to have a bit of confidence, which I thought we would have had when we went into the Bournemouth game. So what do I know?
I said Bournemouth last night as well.
Brighton. Christ, yeah, Brighton. Oh God, yeah, Brighton. But
there's
yeah,
well,
there you go. What do I know? I mean, Did I see any of their game? No, I didn't see any of their game at the weekend. But obviously, Son got like 63 goals or something ridiculous.
Yeah, so, it was great weekend.
Yeah, I had him in my fantasy team, so I'm happy about that. But I will be taking him out this week.
Oh, I don't care. Full on captain.
Yeah. No, I'm going to take him out.
I need to gain on a few people in my leagues, unfortunately. Mourinho has been the talk of Twitter over the last few weeks, and it was a terrible start against a resurgent Everton. But Kristan, I mean, do you think that we're playing Tottenham at the wrong time, to use that cliche?
I think I'm trying to give Southampton context, if I'm honest, because there was part of me that felt like they just threw themselves at Spurs, which didn't seem like a very good plan. And they finished last season, Southampton, I thought, quite well, so I was surprised to see them concede as many as they did. Their start in general has been a bit weird to me. I think if I was to sort of take anything from Mourinho's time there, he doesn't seem as comfortable when his teams have to break through a side. I think he's much more content in a reactive state when he plays against teams. So that game last year, to me, the goal was actually really well put together against Pochettino's lot. But then after it felt like quite a defensively strong performance on the other side of it. I don't remember a huge amount of chances for Newcastle after that. I think Almiron had one maybe when he was looking for his first goal. So if it follows a similar pattern, I won't be shocked, to be honest. I think they could frustrate them. It's just about that organisation thing that we talked about at the top. How much of that is still there? Like, I could see it very early doors last season, but it feels like it's kind of eroded a little bit. And if we're looking at Brighton as an indicator for that, they were at 6s and 7s a lot at the back. Like the third goal in particular with Aaron Connolly.
Yeah,
I like Jamal
Lascelles
Lascelles a lot, yeah, but any further back and he'd need to buy a ticket for the third row. Like, it was tough to watch because I do like Lascelles. I feel like he doesn't get enough, or didn't get enough attention from England when he was really kind of thriving for us. But yeah, last week was bad. They're going to need to be a lot better defending transitions and stuff against someone like Spurs with Son and Kane and all those guys.
Well, it would be very Newcastle, and I think we did see it a lot last season that if anyone's responsive, it is a Steve Bruce Newcastle side. They can have the worst week of their lives one week and then go and beat Man United the next, as we saw with the Leicester game and a few others. It just seems like it's going to be another wild ride of a Newcastle United season. Is there three things that you would like to maybe see change on Sunday, Dean, that you could point out, perhaps? I know Miggy starting would be a start.
Definitely. I wouldn't start Carroll. No way, shape or form. He'll not do anything against Spurs. No chance, will he? I mean, in my opinion, I think you should give Joel a chance, maybe. See how it happens. He's coming back 2 goals during the week. Yes, it's League 2 side, fair enough, but he only beat you only score what's in front of you, you know what I mean? Give a lad a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him behind Wilson. Put Miggy and Fraser on the flanks, and then put Joe Linton behind Wilson, see what happens. At the worst case scenario, you change it at half time. You know what I mean? And bring Murphy on and put Miggy in the middle. But I definitely would give Joel a chance on the pitch this game, because he seemed last time he played against him, he got a goal. Never know.
Yeah. Miggy in the middle, of course, is now a popular game in the Bensham area, I believe, in the school grounds. Since the new game for Piggy in the middle.
Just run until you collapse.
Yeah, keep going. Don't look up, whatever you do. Through the wall. Keep going. Jess, our oracle, resident oracle. It didn't go to plan against Brighton, did it? Christ, I got wrong for being tentative with my 1-0 to Newcastle, but
yeah, well, I said 3-1
to Brighton.
No, I didn't.
What do you reckon?
I'm gonna. I honestly, I can't. I don't like saying this, but I can't see us winning. I'm gonna say 2-0 Spurs. Okay,
Kristan.
Yeah, the same. Although I think if Dean's changes are put in, I think you've got a decent chance. Actually, I quite like that. Even Hendrick in for Shelby or something like that, just to give the midfield a bit more of a workmanlike, and then look to break on them as much as possible. Because
Hendrick and Hayden's got a lovely ring to it.
Yeah, it's that, and then Fraser. Let's see, Maximum can't play, so Almiron, Joe Linton next to Wilson, pressing and running into channels and stuff. I like that. I think, unfortunately, I'm going to think 2-0 to Tottenham is probably how it's going to end up.
Sorry, I'm just imagining Jeff Hendrick and Isaac Hayden turning up to the match in, like, you know, those old Helly Hansen chav coats with the HH on the back. Hendrick and Hayden just there, you know, like proper zipped up to the top and all that. Oh, I'd love to see it. So, I don't think it bodes well. Dean, I'll come to you in a second. I think I'm with you on this. I think it's going to be a hefty loss. You know, I think we'll be well beaten. But let's be optimistic. 2-1 to Tottenham. Let's say we'll get a goal. Yeah, I might get a goal. I'd like to see us at least bring the game to them. Yeah. Because Tottenham are a decent side. Dean, what's your prediction?
Well, knowing Bruce, I reckon
personally,
he's going to put 10 players behind the ball. Honestly, yeah. Or 11. Actually, I'll put 11 behind the ball. So I'm going to say 0-0. I think we might just draw. We set up Carl Dollar's in goal, so it might be 6-0. I don't know. Because I don't think
you can blame Darlow for the goals against Brighton, but he's
no, you can't blame that. No. But I think
terrible.
Rafker in goal, it could have been a draw. But
right.
I'm going to say 0-0. I think Bruce will just score 5 at the back, and we'll just defend to our heart's content.
Yeah. Well, Dean, I can't let you go without giving us a little bit of it. You know, before the game, he's there in the dressing room. He's got Joe Linton holding his hand. What is Bruce going to say to the Newcastle United team in that dressing room?
Well, lads, all I want you to do is this. I just want you to have fun, run around, you score a goal, hey-ho, that's how it goes. Joel, you score 1, you score 2, you score 3, you score 100. Great stuff. I love you all. Have a good time. If we lose, we lose. Doesn't matter. Have a good time. I'll buy you a kebab.
Okay. There you go. It's like having Darren Farley.
It was like he was, yeah.
To all the players, you just say to them, have fun, lad. Just take
Yeah.
a shot. Have fun.
Yeah. Dummy. I keep calling you dummy.
Boss,
my name's Paul, man.
I said last week, I finally realised that he reminds us as a primary school teacher. You know, like when you're walking into assembly and they're like, big banana smiles, everyone.
Banana smiles.
Giving them stickers for good manners and that. Well done, boys.
Mrs. Gold Star, you get an extra chicken nugget from the canteen.
I look to be a fly ball, like I would be. Like imagine being a fly ball in that dressing room with Steve Bruce, literally constantly hugging. I bet he hugs all the players and kisses them. Have a good game, lads. Have a good game.
He's got a secret handshake for every single one of them. He's come up with his own COVID secure hug, you know. I can't, lads. Hey, I've got to keep 2 meters away. But, know that I can feel you inside. That's got weird, hasn't it? Speaking of, Andy Carroll's wife was certainly feeling one inside, and that was baby Marvel has entered the world. Marvel May. Rod Stewart would be proud of that one. Which
couldn't get the rights to DC.
Good night, everyone. It's been extra time. Fantastic, lovely stuff. Well, I did say if there's any Marvel Newcastle United superheroes that you can think of, then do let me know. I popped into the group earlier. Federico Fernandez. Kristan, did you hazard a guess at anything? No. You're a serious journalist. You don't do that kind of thing.
I'm not nearly witty enough.
You're just a stat man, and then you leave. Jess, you said you've not seen anything superheroes in your life.
No. I pointed out to you like Marvel was the name because I'd heard of Marvel, but I've never seen anything from Marvel, so I can't. Right.
Well, beatboxing Spider-Man. He's just a hero in his own right.
Is Spider-Man from Marvel?
Yeah. Oh, Dean's going to explode if he hears you say that again, man.
Gutierrez?
Well, yeah, Gutierrez. But it's not like the blockbuster
he was our Spider-Man.
He was our Spider-Man.
That's as good as it's going to get.
Yeah,
is Thor Marvel as well?
Yes, yeah. It is.
Could I get Carl Darloki?
Carl Darloki.
Right. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the mind there. Oh, fantastic. Well, there you go. We've got Gutierrez, just as he is. I can't wait to see. I'd love to see Marvel, we can sit around a table. So I've got a great idea for a superhero. What's his name? Gutierrez. Done. Dean, you had one. Did you have one?
Yes, I do. Jeff Hultrick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jeff Hultrick.
I think mine's better. Gutierrez.
Well, I did come up with. There was a few others that I had. We had Iron Man Keel.
Oh, bloody hell!
Cute. We could have Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy if anyone wanted to. This one's a bit harder. Hawkeye, Clark-Eye, Clark-Eye.
Nice.
Crafting America. And that's it. As always, the comments are open if you want to.
Second or the last one, I'm not going to lie.
Crafting America. I know. I made an Emil of that one, didn't I? That is all from Dean. Just good. Dean's not coming back next time. Scowl. Yeah. He's giving me his Robert De Niro eyes there. This has been ExtraTyne. Newcastle play Tottenham at the weekend. Don't do anything extreme if we don't score. That's all I'll say. It can get better, can't it, Kristan?
Yes.
Good.
Oh, convincing.
Right, okay. Say 3 Hail Marys for Jose Mourinho and hope for the best. We'll see what happens. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you to Dean for joining us today. I'm sure we'll have you back soon. Kristan, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for your insight. And Jess, thank you so much again, as always, for joining us. This is the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.